Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Hitting the Bars. My name's Kelty, and I'm virtually beside the beautiful, stunning Sav. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to eat some grub after this and chow down on some nice baked chickpeas, some baked broccoli. I have big old salad waiting for me.
Sounds stunning.
I know. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I don't know what I'm having for dinner, whatever the hell's in the fridge, but I just thought I'm going to hop in here and just give a little parameters to the audience, you beautiful audience listening. We've got a little short episode. We're having 2 bonus episodes this week and next. The reason being, Sav, the beautiful, stunning Sav, is getting married. And so, you know what? We just wanted to give you guys a little something. I'm going to the wedding as well, but I don't need the time off. It is not my once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Maybe that sounds like a High School Musical quote. But yeah, we just want to give you 2 little fun episodes to cleanse your palate, or satisfy your palate while we go. But also Sav's got a lot of shit to do, so we want to give her time off. So bear with us and just enjoy the 2 little shorter snippet appies we have this week, and send Sav a lot of love. So like slide her DMs, give her some comments, and just send some good wishes.
Oh, shucks.
It's going to be amazing.
Yes, I'm excited, and I'm going to be a Mrs. Hummel. Jammin'. Crazy, right?
Yeah. Right. Big changes.
I know.
Big changes.
I'm excited though. Changes. I'm ready for it to happen, and it's so random. Like every wedding I ever really have been to is usually in the summer. So I kind of love that it's I love February. My birthday's in February. I love Valentine's Day, not even because of that. I just always loved Valentine's Day with my parents. Like I just think February was always just a very lovely month. It was always like my grandpa's birthday, my other grandma's birthday. I'm like, what a perfect time to get married.
I love that. Okay, not to be that girl, but are you an Aquarius then if you're born in February? Okay, that's so funny. The only reason I'm like, my childhood best friend, not my childhood, the longest standing best friend, Lexi Hess, is also an Aquarius. So I was like, look at all the girls I love. I apparently love Aquarius.
Love that.
So that's I don't really pay that much attention, but I was like, I've got a thing for Leos, Aquariuses, and Sages. Aries.
So all of them, basically.
Aquarius, Sag. so everyone. I love everyone, but I've got a lot of those in my life.
I love that. Honestly, I liked Aquarius because it sounds like aquamarine.
I know. It makes sense why you like aquamarine.
I couldn't even tell you what Michael's is. That's how much I do not know. Would it be horoscopes? Signs?
Yeah. What month is he born?
He's in the beginning of December. But that's how much I don't know signs at all. Ooh. I don't know what that even is.
Sagittarius.
Such a bad nickname.
It's like November, December.
It's like SAG.
It's okay. Could be Cancer.
That's true. That one is bad. Yeah.
That's a rough.
That's true. But I did not. Are you into that? I'm like, I just didn't inherit that. I think it's cool. I always like to hear people's thoughts on it. But like, if somebody's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, you act that way because you're an Aquarius. I'm like, no, I am held responsible for my actions, not because of my sign.
I will just say I find it so fun. And I think if it's like as how men are with fantasy football. Do you know what I mean? Do they actually think they have any influence? Are they coaching? That's why I was like, it's women's fantasy football. So I don't actually really believe it, but it's this fun, like stupid thing we all do. It's so dumb. And like we look into it and see if we're all connected. And it's like, you know what I mean? But
I love that.
I used to be like so against it. Because I'm like, I go to school for sciences. I'm in the hard facts and like none of, and I was like, you know what? It's stupid and it's hella fun. And so I'm just gonna embrace it. And I'm gonna look up birth charts every once in a while and just do it and fully realize I sound like anyone's horoscope I read sounds right to me. You know what I mean? I could read yours and it would sound like me.
Always.
Like,
yeah.
Realize.
Did you ever have like American Girl magazine or Teen Bop or something? Tiger Beat, the magazines, and they'd all have it. And you'd be like, oh, am I going to talk to my crush this week? Because it would tell you that you were.
Oh, I lived for that. Mm-hmm. Like, I just always thought it was so fun. And you just like make believe like, oh, he's going to talk to me or I'm going to have good luck. And, you know, and me who never even like kissed a boy. But I was like, no, I'm going to have a boyfriend and fall in love this week. Like,
literally.
You've never held hands with a boy. But I was convinced
Literally.
from my horoscope I was going to fall in love that week.
That's hilarious. When I was home in Seattle, one of my best friends, Kayla, her and I grew up together like since preschool. And well, we didn't know. We like went to preschool together, and then we reconnected in high school. And our moms were like, yeah, you guys were in the preschool together. Like, Savannah, you went to her birthday party. And I was like, oh, weird. But we were best friends in high school, and we were innocent. We just didn't think things happened in high school. And it was so funny because my sister-in-law threw me like a surprise bridal shower when I was in Seattle with like, you've met Jordan. She came, Kelsey came, Kayla, some of my mom's friends. Because I was like, I don't really know that many people in Seattle anymore. So it was so fun. But Kayla was joking with my mom that she was like, oh, Sharon, like we truly did not know anything happened. Like we barely even kissed boys in high school. Like we were so innocent. My mom's laughing because my mom didn't care. I think I could have been a rebel. My mom would have been like, go for it. And Kayla was joking because she's full-blown pregnant with a huge belly now. And she was like, well, I've done more than kiss a boy now. And I was like, good one, Kayla.
I love it. A true like mom joke.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like dad joke.
She was
mom
born
joke.
for it.
I love
Right.
it. I love it. Amazing. Speaking of weddings, pregnancy, all that, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I was like, how are you gonna segue that one? But okay.
Your wedding. I was gonna try. I was like, it was a swing and a miss. But we're just gonna jump into it. So this week's episode, we just thought, you know what? We're kind of ending New Year's resolutions. The January high, my gym was packed today. But you know what starts happening in February? All those old habits sound pretty nice. And you kind of start falling off and that momentum isn't there. So we thought it'd be kind of fun just to talk about some times that we ourselves, I guess we would fall into, the fitness category of the world. Even us. We've fallen off. Mm-hmm. Many of times. So let's, we can laugh about it. We can maybe relate about it. And then just talk about how we also jump back on. So I'm going to pass it off to you. When was the time you fell off the fitness bandwagon?
Oh, well, I feel like I've fallen off multiple times on the fitness bandwagon. Who has not? But I feel like a specific one, I don't even know if it's specific. More of just like, there was a time in my life where I felt like I was defined by one form of fitness. And I was like burning myself out. And it was really just like me doing the same exact routine, thinking like if I strayed away, I'd lose progress or something. And it was just like I was beating it into myself senseless. And it was just like killing my mental health when it came to my relationship with the gym. And so I remember I kind of was like, maybe this isn't for me anymore, which makes it really awkward when we built our careers on working out, being that girl that posts workout videos. And I was like, ooh. And I went more lifestyle for a really long time and like just, didn't really show workouts. And I'd go to the gym, I'd work out, but like I felt lost. I didn't really know what to do. And it wasn't until, like I gave myself a couple months of just being like, hey, it's okay. Like you will find your love again for it. Will it be that form of lifting? No, that's okay. That might not be it again. You might not get it back. And so I just kind of was like patient with myself and gave myself a couple months, but I still just remained active to keep that habit where I think sometimes people in the new year, they'll like try and they'll go all in and they'll like develop these crazy habits that they can't sustain. And that's the key is sustainability. And so then they fall apart and say like, oh, this isn't for me. But actually it can be you. You can literally like always incorporate it. So then after a while, I just started learning what I did like to love again. And I remember it was like as simple as like adding jump rope into my warm up or like things like that I was like, I haven't done that in years. It's like playful and fun. And that's kind of how I got back into it. And ever since then, I've been like good at when I catch that burnout, I just kind of switch my routine up.
I love that. Like that should be just a foundation because we all get like bored of the gym. We're just kind of like, I'm over this. Like, what's the point? And instead of just like giving it up, just like swapping it with something you actually enjoy in that moment. And maybe it's a little less optimal, but something's better than nothing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I really think as long as you develop that discipline and that habit of like just exercise in general. But I think for so long, I was like, I must exercise this way. Otherwise, I'll fail at it or I won't see these results or I'll gain it all back or whatever it was. I don't know what I was thinking. And then slowly I just was like, that's not a way to live. And then, you know, it's like a different way of a New Year's resolution falling off, not getting back on. But it was just me being like, how can I make this sustainable to me? And my new fitness program, that's like something I actually teach the girls in it, is like mindset and like what I changed, because no one ever taught me to like fix my mindset until I started taking certain courses that had to do more with like solely focusing on your mind or accomplishing things that like you literally have to work so hard for. And I was like, well, that also applies to the gym. So then I just applied it to it. And I think it's the most helpful piece in the program.
I love that.
Yeah. What's yours?
That's a great. Well, first, before I jump into mine, speaking of everyone back at the gym, I just want to give a little shout out to Alicia, who I ran into in the change room at my gym here in Vancouver. And yeah, she was like, hey, are you a YouTuber? I was like, yeah. She's like, I listen to your podcast on YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah, so I just want to give her. Yeah, no, she listens to our podcast and then she watches me on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow.
The two, but yeah, started with the podcast, so I appreciate you. So I just want to say thank you, and it was just a quick little. I was running off, so I just we love you. So it's nice to know we got some Vancouver.
I love that. That is so special. When you meet somebody that actually listens to the podcast, it's like a different type of bond. You know, it's so cool.
You know,
you really do, yeah.
I was like,
because I mean, I think of
you listen.
Oh, oh my god!
Sorry, both talk at the same time.
I think of some of the podcasters I listen to, and like, I just I don't know, they're like comforting to me, right? Like I feel like I get to hang out with them and be in a room and hear this chat like I'm a fly on the wall. I just love it, and I'm glad that people feel that way with us.
Yeah, I love it, because it's like you actually have a conversation, you hear it. Like, as much as I talk openly on YouTube, it's still edited. Like, you know what I mean? You only really have, 10 to 15 seconds. You cut out all the fluff. It's very edited. Like, it's a fully edited video. Not that any of it's fake, but it's edited, versus this is just like how it would be if you were next to us at the dinner table. So it's like, it's...
You know what I do, though, with podcasts? Like you said, if there's like an actress I really like, actor, and I like want to get to know who they are, because like those people are literally like, like are wearing masks 24/7. They're playing different characters.
Yeah.
I will watch or listen to a podcast and actually hear what they think. Sometimes it ruins it for me. Like we listened to Robert Downey Jr. and like he wasn't as, like cool as Iron Man, which that has got to be really tough for him. And then Michael watched Hot Ones with the actor of Ron Swanson, and he was like, it's so weird. He sounds like Ron Swanson, but he doesn't have the humor. And I was like, dang. Poor guy.
It's weird. Especially actors, because like I think musicians and all that, and like other kind of celebrities, like they are who they are, but an actor is literally acting. Like they're different.
Yeah. Also, did you listen to the John Mayer episode on Call Her Daddy?
Not yet. I'm being in Sweden, I'm so behind on my podcast. Is it good?
It's actually entertaining. Yeah. I mean, I was there for like the Taylor Swift tea and he spilt none, but it was interesting to hear like how he actually is like low-key affected years ago when he just got like shit on for dating all these girls. Like he moved away and just kind of like he got tired of it, and it was kind of like you almost like felt for him, like because at the end of the day it is like you don't really know that person, and they are dating so publicly, and there's a lot of people that date that much and they just aren't like a walking billboard. So I just thought it was interesting. I can't remember much of it now that it's been a while since I watched it, but I just thought it was fascinating because you just got to know like his actual thoughts instead of just you hear horrible things on the internet and on the TV shows, and it's kind of a bummer. I would hate to be a villain.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you said, you don't really know, and so often people get villainized for things we all do. Do you know what I mean? Like Justin Bieber's a prime example of like, not to defend what he did when he was a young 18-year-old boy, but how stupid are young 18-year-old boys? You know what I mean? Like doing this, like, how dare he needs to be a role model. I was like, have you looked around of other young boys in college? Like they're all like that. So not to defend it, but it's just kind of like a reality of like, yeah, you're in the public eye, but you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's really simple and not that crazy. I haven't listened to the podcast, so I'm saying this. So if I listen to the podcast, I'd be like, Kelty, but he said this. I don't know what he said, so I'm not saying that. But
yeah, I'm like, honestly, I don't remember a lot that he said other than me just being like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think of it that way. That might affect you. That might hurt your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to know where people come from.
But at the end of the day, I'm a Swiftie, so like die hard. If Taylor hates him, I'll hate him. So
yeah, we're on Team Taylor. So sorry, so maybe I'm just gonna boycott. I won't even listen. I'm that much of a Swiftie, just to beat you.
I was like, you'll listen. He'll definitely listen.
Yeah, I definitely will. Now I'm like, okay, now I'm
interested. Right? I'm like, I'll never boycott that. I'd be like, I want to hear.
Yeah, no, I'm not that. As soon as things like interesting, I hate to say it, I just break. I'm like, nah, I want to know the tea. Mm-hmm. I'm weak.
I'm so weak.
I was like, yeah, I would never listen. Downloads it immediately. I'm like, wait, what?
Totally. There are some people though that I'm like, think of like the one you hate the most online or something, and you're like, yeah, I probably won't listen to that. But when it's like what is it? Like, that's why I love the Morning Toast. I'm like, it's all these random tidbits that I'm like, I would never have even thought to look that up.
I will say, I don't know, I'm such a curious person that even if it's someone like I super dislike, I would never promote them. I want to talk about it because I don't want to give any light to it. But like, sometimes you're just like, you're so awful. I want to know what's in your head because how can you think like that? Wow. Like, so honestly, I think sometimes if it was someone I despise, I would love to hear a podcast just to be like, no, you're so wrong. Like, how does it? And I'll probably still hate them after, but you're just at least you're like, my mind doesn't make sense of it. I think I'm just a curious person. Like, I just want to know what goes inside of everyone's mind.
So then do you like true crime podcasts and stuff?
No, not really. But I'll listen to like any topic. Like, even if it's someone, I won't listen to it consistently, but even if it's a topic, like, I'm like, every once in a while, I'm like, I think you got to hear the opposite side just to support your own views. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just to like validate, like, listen to opposite side and be like, see, that mine is right. Like, I think there's something about that. Yeah. So sometimes I listen to things I don't believe in just to remind me of what I believe in.
I mean, it also is a good perspective. Like, I think people are really close-minded, and it's like, I think you should always hear out, no matter what the situation is, like the other perspective of, even like you said, why they even get that logic. It's like, you can disagree. It doesn't mean that you're agreeing with them just by hearing them out. You know, that's why I feel like politics is so freaking messy, is because people are so set on it, and they like won't even be friends with other people depending on like their beliefs. And it's like, but there's a reason, like, we're not all robots. Like, everyone's going to think differently, and you can have your own belief, but you also should like hear what other people have to say, period. Because like, that's where you find fault, is if you just like have tunnel vision.
Yeah. If you don't hear what other people have to say, you could be the bad guy without realizing it. You know what I mean? Like, you just never know. So that's why I was like, you gotta listen to opposite side, and it's either gonna confirm you or make you realize like, oh, I'm the bad one. So that's why I was like, it's a good thing. I think we all need to practice. I'm like, don't consume so much that you get lost in the bad side, but just like give it a little ear and be like, okay. And
totally. Well, even like recently, Michael and I had a discussion about something, and he would like, I was like, well, have you ever thought about it in a female perspective? Like, that it was a certain topic that I don't even want to bring up. But he was like, oh, like, well, what do you mean? And I kind of like saw the way I saw it. And he was like, I didn't even think of it that way. Like, that completely makes sense. And it just was as simple as him being like, wow, I'm a man. I didn't even think to ask, you know, my wife, like, what. Like, he just was like, oh, but it was more like, what do you think on this? And I told him, and he's like, why? That's so extreme on X, Y, and Z. And I was like, because X, Y, and Z. And then he was like, oh, okay. And then we kind of just had our own judgments of like, I wasn't like, you must see my way, unless it, you know, it was something that was important to have like same values. But yeah.
I love that. That's a perfect example of it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's stay on topic. What is the time that you fell off?
Well, this one actually I kind of fell off in the last year. If you guys have been following me on YouTube, 2 years ago I went through or almost 3 years ago. Oh my God. I did a full like gymnastics series. So I stretched every day for 30 days, like the Olympic gymnast training, stretching routine. And then I got into like yoga, and then this kind of beginning of doing a bit of Pilates, and I got into doing handstands and flow, and I was like, definitely in that like era, and I loved it. My body felt great, and it was amazing. And it wasn't that like I got burned out from that era, but then I decided to do the run streak, and then I got into running and that kind of thing, and running kind of took priority. And it wasn't that stretching didn't matter and that mobility didn't matter to me in yoga and all that. It was just like we only have so many hours in a day, and I'm not a professional athlete. Like I can't just spend all day doing all different forms of fitness. You only really have an hour, maybe 2 a day, and use it how you can. And ideally you split it up. Because of the run streak, like it definitely chipped into the way of the mobility. So the reality is that kind of kept fizzling, and I did a little bit, but it was kind of the bare minimum. And even the last few months, I'm like, oh, my lower back pain's back. I'm stiffer. Things are cracking a little bit. You know, there's little just naggy injuries that are coming that I know are from not working on my mobility. So the reality is accepting myself. Like I didn't make mobility a priority over the last year. And I've kind of shifted that kind of mindset in the last month, and definitely with my thing going. But I think it's also just give yourself grace of, you know, we only have so many hours in a day, and the reality is you're going to prioritize something, and just accept what you're prioritizing, realizing what's the cost, and kind of maybe switch your priorities. So like, yeah, right now I'm switching up my priorities to mobility, and I'll do that for a couple months, and it will swap, and it kind of evens out over time. But yeah, I think it was just accepting, and like I kind of beat myself up for it. You know, a couple months ago, I like tried to do the splits again. I was like, oh my God, I worked so hard for that year and I'm right back to where I was. And I was like, how did I let this happen? And like, I kind of felt, I was like, I'm lazy. I have no work ethic. Like, I was thinking that. I was like, when would you have fit it in? You were doing this run streak. You're doing this. So yeah, I think just priorities shift, and it's not a thing to beat yourself up of. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm telling you guys to remind myself.
I like that.
This is what
Question, are you still doing your run streak?
I haven't announced it to the world. So let's just say I should. If you saw my year end, I left it on a cliffhanger. So that's, I'm like, ooh, I haven't said. But I have shifted my mindset of I'm no longer like concentrating on running every day. I'm not saying if I've stopped, but I'm doing a thing called a road to 1,000. So it's, the goal now is not necessarily to run every day, but to get to 1,000 runs. And I've kind of asked anyone who wants to, and maybe yours is a road to 100, road to 30 days. But it's less of like you have to run every day, and it's more of just like tracking your workouts. And my eventual goal right now is to get to 1,000 runs, and maybe I'll do it in 2 years, maybe I'll do it in 10. So that's my current goal. So I'm still tracking. It still gives that same satisfaction, but yeah, you'll have to watch the video because there's a lot of, I haven't told the internet where I'm at right now. It's
I saw mysterious. You posted it, and I was like, I know. Since I was traveling, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to watch this. Usually I watch all of them, so I'm like, I got to catch up. You. Yeah, I'm very far behind on everything as well, with podcasts, YouTubes.
I'm so behind. Like even like those people, you know, who as soon as you upload, you listen to. Like I'm not even them. I'm like I've missed so much, but this is just the holidays in January and travel.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Honestly, when I was weeding my front yard, it took me 2 hours, and I like pounded through some podcasts that like, you know, I just hadn't even been on them in like since a month, and I almost like started to resent it. I was like, wow, I'm almost like tired of you guys. Like I need to split this up so I like it still.
Okay. It's so funny. I wonder if we're talking, I don't even want to hint, but there's a podcast I love that I did listen to for a while, and I listened to it again. I was kind of like, this doesn't hit the same.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
But you know, like, it's never on them, because I mean, we've gotten some reviews that say that it doesn't hit the same for them, and I'm always like, okay,
exactly. Right. You know, and that's why I even told myself, I was like, I think it's just because right now I was really in a, you know, all I want to listen to is Andrew Huberman, and I listen to audiobooks. Come like March, I'll be like, do not give me another science-based podcast.
Yeah.
No. And then I'll want, you know, my trashy podcast. So I think it's just the season we're in.
Yeah, I agree. There's like categories that I go through.
Yeah. All depends on the mood. Mm-hmm. All depends on the mood. But on that, we're going to leave you guys with one YouTube comment we got this week. And then I'm going to ask you. Dorothy asks, hey ladies, got a question for you. Therapeutic yoga private session is $75 an hour. Too much to pay. What do you think? Do you think $75 is too much to pay for private therapeutic yoga? What are your thoughts?
Personally, I don't think it's too much to pay, but I also think maybe I'm biased in like the sense of, like, for me, fitness is like something I really invest in. So if that's something that I would really, really enjoy, like I try also to think of their worth. If I love the teacher, if I'm getting a lot out of it, also like maybe I'm splitting it with some friends. Like if they come, well, I guess it's a private session. That's not really, I don't know. I don't think it's crazy, especially because personal trainers, like for an hour, like standard, like 100 to 150, 200 a session. So like, I don't think she's upcharging. But I also have never had a private yoga session. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think it's very reasonably priced. Like my kind of comparison, she said therapeutic and yoga. So my mind is like therapeutic is kind of like physio, massage. And that's usually I'm trying to do the math converting to American. So, in Canada, it's anywhere from 100 to 150. So that's like 80 to 130, American. It's an average like massage rate. Then you got to add tip. So in that sense, it's quite cheap. And like you said, in a yoga session can be anywhere from $30 to 40, and then a personal trainer is around 100. So like I was like, it's definitely reasonably priced, but is that worth your money? Like, are you going to get $75? And I think you kind of have to ask, like, that hour, is that $75 in your bank account? Is that going to hurt a lot? Can you maybe get the same benefits from just doing a group class? Do you have a lot of injuries that you need help with that's going to help your life in the long term and help be pain-free, and you're going to stop spending money in other places because you're healthier? So I think you kind of have to just balance with, like, is it worth your 75? And I think it's just like what you need and what you're expecting to get out of it. So I guess that's what I'd have to say.
Totally. And always, like, remember as well, like, quality people are going, I don't know this person, but they are going to be more, like, because at the same time, I'm sure if Dorothy was a yoga instructor, she'd probably want to be, paid what she thinks is her worth. And you can also decide, maybe that, I don't know this person, like the yoga instructor, but I try to think on their end as well of like their time and like, what is really worth it for them. But yeah, I think that's actually like a nice deal. But I've never tried to get a private yoga instructor, so I have no idea.
Me neither. So that's kind of our thoughts, but we don't really know. You gotta take it as you take it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps this one up. Thank you for the short episode.
Yeah. Thank you for even making the time amongst your busy wedding planning.
Oh, yes.
You know what? Pretty soon, when you guys will be listening to this, you'll be in Mexico.
I'll be in Mexico. Yes, I'm so excited. Ready.
Yay! I'll be there too. So I might be drunk on a plane right now while you're listening to this. Who knows?
I love it. As Dirks Bentley says, I'm getting drunk on a plane.
Yeah. I'm going to listen to that whole way to Mexico.
Perfect.
5 hours straight.
Perfect. You'll just be toast by the time you get there. One time we actually went to Mexico, like Cabo, and we were meeting Millie and Simon, our friends there. And it's funny because we lived in the same area, but for some reason we went earlier. Just like a couple hours earlier, and we actually like laid by the pool, and it was all inclusive and had so many margaritas that we were like very turned. And we took a nap, and then we were like met them when they got there, and they were like, let's go out, like let's have drinks. And we were like, I'm so sorry, I have to go to bed. And I still regret it to this day. I'm like, we should have waited. We just got too excited with the all inclusive.
I love it. All been there. And on that, I'm going to say, just put this podcast to sleep.
Yes. All right. Bye.
I love it. Bye.